I'm Tim Tim. I did my project over virtual museums and virtual field trips. Um, I'm going into teaching geography this year, and I feel like this is something that I could really use to enhance learning in my classroom. So I feel kind of strongly about this use of this, and so I always felt like this presentation really kind of would help me the most whenever it came to teaching in the future. Um, why it's why would you use a virtual field trip? There's a lot of perks that come with doing a virtual field trip, and the ones that I came across were that made sense to me were cost, safety, better experience. They're less stressful. Um, one you can use one for nearly every lesson, and you have more of a choice of destination. You're not limited to what you can and can't do with a group of kids. Um, and you can get the experience of a field trip without like having to actually leave the classroom, and it's simple and quick. um, and you have it and it helps you to incorporate technology into the classroom. Because I know that classrooms are going towards more this inclusion of technology, and so this is kind of a way to help that. Cost, um, like it kind of limits. Do have some virtual like museum websites that offer free virtual tours. I know the Smithsonian, I looked up one on there and it has a free virtual tour. And so you can go through there. You can just get on there one day and you wouldn't have to worry about the cost of raising money or anything like that to go on a field trip or to you put even the gas in the bus or anything like that. And so I know that that's one thing. Safety. Um, it is less chance of error. Like kids get kids just wandering off or anything like that. They're you're in the safety of the classroom, and so it just makes it easier for that to happen. Um, Better experience. Um, well, they basically just kind of since you can do this like on the Chromebook or even do some kind of like Skyping or video recorded tour. It makes it to where it's kind of like a one-on-one type thing. Like it's you going through it. It's not the hustle and bustle of going through a huge crowd through this museum. And it can be less stressful. Like as for the teacher, I know that uh, like for teacher wise, it doesn't make it makes it to where they don't have to keep up with all this keep up with all the paperwork, and they don't have to necessarily play chaperone. They can enjoy it too. Um, yeah, we'll move on. That's just some of the perks that I thought were pretty good, and for the reasons why you would want to use a virtual field trip or do a virtual tour on a museum. Um, there are plenty of uses in the classroom. Uh, like for like use this in the like classroom to give the kids a more of a hands-on experience to a lesson. Like if you're doing a lesson over, I did a lesson over. I have an example later for a lesson over like World War II, but just for a different example, like if you're doing a lesson over the Revolutionary War or you're doing a lesson over George Washington, there was a Mount Vernon that does a virtual tour of a museum that they have, and that would be something that give them a hands-on experience to um, learn about George Washington. You could use it as an activity, like if it's just simply a free day, but you don't necessarily just be like, okay, do whatever. Um, Give them the opportunity to go do this and they have on their own pace to do this and like just do some learning, but it's more of a free day because it's more like a video. Um, just kind of give them a visual. Some kids are more of just give them that ability to see what they're learning. You know, like I was just talking about, being able to do a virtual tour, you can actually see some of the stuff that you're talking about. They're not just simply picturing the stuff in their head. Um, it's a good way to inspire students, like inspire curiosity, imagination, like make them to be able to, make them actually like, oh, this is pretty cool. Be able to actually like make them wonder about it, make them actually want to learn and be like, you know, I see it, this is, I see it, this is pretty cool, and just make them want to learn. Um, and it could be a good way to introduce your students to the marvels of the world. Like, you know, you're not, again, like I mentioned earlier, you're not limited to, simply what's in your backyard. You can actually bring up you can actually bring up a virtual tour and do something about the pyramids, if you could, or uh, I talked to somebody about doing the seven wonders of the world. That was actually their idea, but um, that, and it's just kind of some of the things that you could do. You're not limited to, like, here in Arkansas, you're not limited to just going to hot springs, or something like that. You can actually learn about some things from outside the country. Um, it can be used as another resource. Like, it's not you don't just have to use them as a field trip. Like, you can honestly use these to help to enhance each lesson if you wanted to. Um, like I talked about earlier, some kids are more visual. They learn easier by watching. And so, like, you can actually use these to enhance your lesson. They can see these things and learn better. And it might even keep some of the kids that you think are struggling in your class. It might help them to might it might and they might get them more involved and um, get them more intrigued, and they'll just be more ready to learn. And this could help them to, you know, get them sucked in and get them more interested. And I just think that that's this one big thing that you can do. Like, this doesn't just have to be, every once in a while type thing. You cannot, and I think that's what makes these so important and so much easier to use, is you can actually use these virtual field trips and as part of your lesson. As I mentioned earlier, I even made some examples for how you can incorporate these. Like, I want to go into teaching history. I mean, I'm going into geography soon, but I would like to, I want to go into that field. And one day I would like to actually teach maybe some world history, or even this could even incorporate into American history. But it's like, say you were doing a lesson of World War II. I looked it up, and the National World War II Museum in New Orleans offers virtual tours online. You can use this as a way to just preview the lesson, and even just get the attention of go ahead and get the attention of your classroom to get them interested first. Because I know sometimes it can be better to go ahead and show pictures or a video or something like that, rather than just kind of starting off a lesson by talking, by lecturing. You want to use this to grab their attention right at the beginning and let them see all the cool stuff that the National War II Museum has to offer. And not to mention that you're, whenever you're they're seeing these things later on, and you are lecturing, they actually already know some of the stuff that they actually know some of the stuff you're talking about. Like, whenever you're sitting here talking about when you're sitting here talking about a concentration camp or something like that, they'll know they'll know what you're talking about. They'll be able to picture it in their mind. They'll be able to follow along better. And I just think that's just something that you can't really um, get with any other kind of form of instruction. And I think that's why these virtual tours really do help out. As I said earlier, I'm actually going to start teaching geography this year, and so I felt like it was a good idea to try to go ahead and make an example, incorporating this into something that I may be doing in the near future. One of the thoughts that I had was that you could do a compare and contrast lesson of different environments. You know, maybe compare the top of Mount Everest to the bottom of Mariana Trench, or the tundra to desert. I mean, you could begin by just doing your lesson meet type environment, and then just using the virtual field trip to allow them to get that experience and actually see it, and that way they can actually see some of the differences, that way they can, apply some of them, like be and like, oh, okay, I understand. Um, I just think that you can even move on after it and let them choose their favorite one. If you want to do a day of activity, let them choose their favorite one and just go back to it, and then be able to look at it and use the experiences, and then be able to uh, and just have a free day and look at it. Um, I think that would be a good cool thing that I would be able to do if I do have the ability to in my classroom do some geography in the near future. Um, as I said earlier, there's a lot of different uses for virtual reality in the classroom. There's just a lot of ways that you can incorporate it into a lesson. If you can tie it into a lesson well, the you can really make a lesson come to life. And I feel like that's what's really needed for some kids to be able to pay attention and be able to be involved in a lesson. And it might just take that just to get that one kid that you think doesn't really pay attention, and that might be the one thing that he needs is to jump in and just enjoy a lesson. Um, but the possibilities that are there if you can, if you can and be incorporated in a good way, and possibilities are endless. If you know some of the right places to go, some of the right websites to visit, some of the music, there's you can probably find a virtual field trip, a virtual museum for any lesson that you could probably think of, or any lesson that you could possibly do your for your class. I just think that if everyone can, find these right resources, that it could do a lot for learning. Uh, as I mentioned on the last slide, if you just knew some of the right resources, some of the right places to go to find some of these virtual field trips or virtual museum tours, then you could really help out. And these are just some of the ones that I found that I came across during my research for this presentation. Um, you have CILC.org, virtualfieldtrips.org, and that's actually where I got a lot of information for both of my reflection and this PowerPoint. Um, I alluded to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. I'll use that one for a I use that one for a example to a lesson. You have naturalhistory.si.edu. That's the Smithsonian. Um, you have the educatorstechnology.com and the mountvernon.org. I've been alluding to that one a little bit. I didn't actually have it listed anywhere but right here, but I talked about it a little bit before. This was some of the websites that I went through to get a lot of information for my reflection and for this presentation. Um, and I just wanted to thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And I want to just say how much I learned from this presentation and how much I want to be able to incorporate some of this, some of what I've learned in this presentation into my future classroom. Again, I hope y'all enjoyed and have a good day.